What's up, everybody? Henry Fernandez here, and welcome to the podcast. I have an amazing couple here with me today, and we're just going to talk about life. We're going to give you hope, and we hope that you will take what is said today to help better yourself. Welcome, Pastor Keion and Pastor Shaunie Henderson.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Man, you guys have won my heart.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, great people. I've been doing this podcast for a while, and people have just been blessed by how I've brought practical conversations to the table to give people hope, And believe it or not, there's a lot of people who admire you both, truly, admire your transition into this union, which, as you both know, is God ordained and so forth. So the first thing we're going to talk about is relationship, and so forth. Recently, you were at Maximize Your Potential conference, and you said some things, lots of stuff. By the way, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
And you talked about, first you weren't looking for someone. And then finally, when your heart opened up, you believe you had the right person. Maybe let's start out with this. How would you encourage women out there who are in the wade-in and the pool is bloody, it's dirty, like you say?
It's pretty filthy.
I never heard that, filthy. The pool is filthy. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Everybody behind me knew what was in the pool. They were all saying it.
Right.
Because we heard
It
the
wasn't
response.
specific, but
My goodness. What can you say to them that maybe their story will be as similar to yours?
I think when I was in that dirty pool of oh gosh, I just want to get out of here. Like this single place it's just not fun. It's not a lot of pickings. You have to just own that space that you're in at that moment. And if you are looking to be with somebody, you actually have to just let go of all the things that you said you wouldn't do and that you didn't want, and maybe look somewhere that's unfamiliar, because I think while we're in that dating pool, we tend to look at the same thing over and over again, and you keep getting disappointed by the same thing over and over again. Like, oh, okay, well, it's the same type of guy that you keep picking, and you're not even aware. He just looks a little different. I had to be open to something completely different, completely out of the norm for me, and be open, like you said, opening my heart, and just be open to not seeing what I couldn't be or what I thought it was going to be, but just allowing life to happen, allowing the opportunity to happen, allowing love to happen in a way. And I did, and I received it in a way I had never received it before, in a place that I said absolutely not to. So that was a little aggressive. Absolutely not.
I understand.
But that's exactly, I think you just have to allow yourself to just be in the moment and say, you know what, this is not where I really want to be, and I'm looking for somebody, but I have to open my eyes, open my I don't know, the boundaries, those walls we put up, open them up and just sit in it. Just sit in it, and it will come to you. He will come to you. She will come to you. It just happens once you let go of that guard of what I want.
Wow.
I think.
I think you have to open your heart and own your space. She just said own that space.
Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, the first house I ever built, Bishop, I took pride in having the best grass on the block. And I used to cut my own grass, got in my riding lawnmower because I had some land and I was cutting the grass. But at the bottom of my property, the water would pool. And I didn't know what to do because it would be brown from the sun there and green everywhere else. And the guy came in, he said, all you got to do is put a drain there. He puts a drain in, the water drains away, the rest of the grass catches up. It teaches me that when you own your space, you also have to find out where you have to make adjustments. And sometimes you may have to dig, sometimes you may have to have patience.
Wow.
I just say open your heart and own your space.
Wow. So let's deal with you, a pastor coming out of the divorce.
Yes, sir.
A lot of women don't notice. They think they're the only one who gets hurt, feel broken, feel hurt. But for a man, spiritual leader, there's a brother out there listening to this podcast, and he may be going through a divorce. He may be going through issues and whatever. What made you had hope that you will find another Ruth?
I don't know if I did, Bishop. I'd like to, in the perfect world, and I'm preaching a sermon, I'd like to tell you I had hope and faith and all that, but I didn't. I had no hope. I had no faith, extremely guarded and very fearful because, number one, I was a failure at what I told everybody else to succeed at. And I had to go and face these people and try not to let what I was going through get into what I was to give them.
That's good.
Their message couldn't be my misery. But you can't really say anything other than what's in you, because as a man thinketh, so is he. So I'm battling thinking negatively and preaching positively. So I had no hope. We had a discussion, and to be quite frank, when we got together, we didn't have any hope together, because all we told each other is what we were not going to do. We were not getting married again. She said that at the Maximize Your Potential conference. I'm not getting married again. I'm not taking this mess. You're not going to talk to me. We were not mean to each other,
right,
but we said some pretty honest things. Yeah. So I had no hope. But let me tell you, I had a 4-day period of time where I was as broken, as fearful, as negative as I had ever been. And this woman sat with me for 4 days, listening to me do nothing but cry and complain. And she never cried or complained in response, because she had already been where I was. And she treated me how she wished somebody would have treated her when she was going through her divorce. And those 4 days, not any day before or after, those are the 4 days that she won me. And that's when I knew. So it wasn't hope, it was experience. And when I experienced her on a different level, I let all of those guards down and knew that I could trust this vulnerability with her.
You know what I sense? What I'm sensing here, it's a love that was an alignment, a strategic alignment that God put together. What was it in you, Shaunie, that when for 4 days he's been just spitting out stuff and you listened and you poured positivity back in him, was it at that time that love kicked in for him? What made you, being a woman, saying, that's it, done, whatever, what did he do? Because a brother needs to know this. What did he do that made you say, I know what I said, but I'm going to try it?
I think Keion listened. He listened to comprehend, not listen to respond in many areas.
Listen to comprehend.
Yeah, he
not to
listened
respond.
And he was literally taking in what I said about everything, not just in the moment. He listened to where, a week later, he remembered the one little thing I said last Wednesday at 2:00. He listened. Wow. And men tend to not hear you, because our voice is just da-da-da-da-da. He actually listens, and he actually was always in the moment, always present. And it intrigued me that he cared so much, to care so much what I thought. And he wanted to know how to love me, not love me how he knew to love, but love me how I needed to be loved. And he was intentional and strategic about showing me how much he loved me, to where he wanted to understand how I needed it. Because, for example, I'm not a gift person. Now I'll take a gift, but you don't have to get me gifts. I love giving gifts, though. So he learned that about me, and he learned, because he's a gift giver. So I think he would be like, why is she not doing cartwheels over this purse or whatever it is, and I would be appreciative, but it wasn't like, oh my, but that's not my thing. So he strategically listened and paid attention, and it's the little things. It was the little things for me, and I think he took so much time, especially, going through your divorce took an extra long amount of time, right? He thought it was going to be done, and it just became heavy for him. And I had been there. So it was before me sitting with him for those days that I knew that he was my guy, just because in the midst of him going through all of that, he still was so intentional about me and so intentional about my heart, because I was still very kind of guarded, like, you still, that ain't wrapped up yet, but I'm gonna ride with you. But he was intentional about how he handled me, not pushing too fast, not, just being intentional, even in the midst of his turmoil.
Right. When did you know Shaunie was the one? Because coming out of a divorce, and I've known you for a little while, people see the tough, prolific voice on stage, but behind the scenes, soft. Did I hit it?
Yeah. And
when did you know then? Because you were broken.
Thinking about it.
You were broken, hurt, and you didn't want to do this again. What clicked?
I remember we sat down at, if I can tell this story, we sat down in the lobby of the Marriott at LAX. I was preaching in San Bernardino, California. And because the 4 days were prior to this, the 4 days that she sat with me, I was in LA because I would go to visit her, come back. I go to San Bernardino, I come back, we're sitting in the lobby. What I thought was going to be a 60-minute conversation turned into 6 hours. 6 hours. And this woman says to me, when she gets to the hotel, she says, now don't ask me to come upstairs because I ain't coming.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
I did. No, you never know.
She said, I know how you preachers are. I said, I'm not asking. So then I get smart. I'm like, how you know you're invited? You're not even invited upstairs. I don't want you upstairs in my room. And we laughed.
Oh my God.
I never had so much fun with the person. So for me, when I enjoyed the version of me that I didn't get a chance to live with, that I just visited, see, I visited that part of me. I stayed with the serious side, the businessman, workaholic, preach. But when I visited laughter.
Wow, that did it.
Oh, man. 6 hours. I don't sit anywhere 6 hours. I don't want a movie 6 hours long. I can't sit still like that. I'm an energetic person.
So she made you comfortable. She brought you in a comfort zone.
With the side of me that I had caged, that I had locked away.
Wow.
That I didn't want to access, the vulnerability. I became comfortable with that and realized that it was normal to be weakened, normal to laugh, normal to cry, normal to watch a girl movie and not have to complain about, oh, my eyes, they watered. I mean, she's like, are you crying? I'm like, yeah, I'm crying. Yeah. I used to always be like, no, men don't cry in movies. So just being comfortable with that side.
Wow.
And she's never held me hostage to the vulnerability.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, had she done that, I would have ran for the hills.
Wow.
And she still to this day hasn't.
I want to move on to a spiritual question, but let's talk to the people who are either in the process of a divorce or have been divorced. You guys have both experienced that. It's a place of brokenness. It's a place where one person said it best, where you lose yourself. What would you say to people who are experiencing that, who feel some of the stuff you felt when you were going through it, the shutting down, the brokenness, the pain, the hurt? Christians, we don't want to tell the truth. Sometimes we want to cuss people out, slap people.
Throw a few things.
There you go.
I did all of that.
What would you say to people? Because I really feel in my heart, guys, somebody's watching this podcast and they're looking for hope because they're right where you guys were.
Yeah.
And God pulled you into a place of wellness. What's the message?
I think, I don't know what my wife's answer is, but you cannot use divorce as a way of becoming happy. That don't work.
What?
And I'm telling you, if you think that getting a divorce is going to solve your problems, it is only another set of problems.
Wow.
So it isn't the answer to discomfort or discontent. So that's the first thing I would say. Please don't use it to get here. This is not the result of a divorce. This is the result of a God-given second chance and opportunity. Divorce almost killed me. Divorce depressed me. Divorce made me contemplate suicide. Divorce took 50% of my income. Divorce destroyed my 10-year-old child. Divorce gave her insecurities that I will have to pray that will never take root into her adulthood. It caused way more problems than it solved. So I don't want to speak from the position of, hey, get a divorce and you get hope. Hope was a grace thing from us. If you can survive, if you can make it, stay. Because when you break that covenant, you become an adversary of God for a moment. And you get the kind of emotions that don't wipe away in the tub and tears that don't stop falling because you got tissue. It is very costly. So my answer to that is don't use it as a way of getting here. Now, the hope is we serve a God.
Oh, yes, sir.
We serve a God that not only gives you what you want, but he gives you what you need. He will satisfy you with long life. You get a chance to experience God's grace on the other side, like you don't on that side, but you got to get over the fear and you got to get over the insecurity, and it just creates, it haunts you. It's like a death. It's like losing somebody you love, even though your mouth says, I can't stand you. The covenant that the heart makes at the altar, it doesn't wash away because you signed a sheet of paper with an ink pen. So that's my thoughts.
Bishop, my answer's not going to be that. It probably ain't going to be the right answer.
No, go ahead.
The divorce was the best thing that happened to me.
Because you be the authentic self.
It was the best thing that happened to me. It was hard. It hurt. I was angry. All the emotions that come with it, absolutely. But I know that it was what I needed to do. Not just to get to this moment, but who I became, the lessons that it taught me. Just even becoming the woman that I am and learning how to function in this world the way that I function. It was because at the moment that I decided to leave a situation that was literally sucking the life out of me, that has developed me. It was meant for me to go through what I went through. And like I said, it was extremely, extremely hard. It took my ex and I probably about 6 years just to be able to co-parent on a healthy level. So he's right. It affects your kids. It affects so many things, but I know that it was the thing that I needed to do for my sanity. I was not my best self. I was not my best, the best mother I could be, the best friend, the best sister, I was not that person in that marriage towards the end, of course. So, I needed to go. And it was the best decision that I made. But it is tough. It is absolutely tough. But if it's meant, if that's the right decision, it will be the best decision. And it might take a while. It's going to take a while for you to see it. It's going to be hard. You're going to cry. You're going to be depressed. I was all of that. But I promise that it built something in me that I would not do it any other way.
And let me say this, Bishop, because my wife, and that was something that I adopted from her, both of us went through a divorce, but I was religiously married. So that's different. I was afraid of what the church was going to think. So she didn't have to worry about a congregation.
Right, exactly. Right.
I was worried about the deacons. Are they going to come back? Will you invite me again to come to maximize your potential? Because I've been here before. So I was looking at what I was losing. She was looking at what she was gaining.
Wow.
Which is why we had two totally different experiences coming out of that situation.
Powerful.
Very true.
Wow. Spiritually, as a pastor, you know that there's a lot of people look to you, myself, for inspiration. There I believe there are a set of people today, they're watching, broken, whether it's failed marriage, failed relationship, business, struggling in their finances, and so forth. Pastor, what would you say? Is there a word, a phrase, or whatever to people who want to give up? Want to get, you know my a little bit of my story. I almost gave up. I am a person who has recovered from suicidal thoughts. Before I went into ministry, young age, I literally attempted suicide. Stood in a chair, and back in them days when I was a little kid, I was in Jamaica living at the time. It was, a wooden house. Put the rope around the post and put it around my neck, and was about to kick the chair. And my neighbor yelled and called my name. And he did it so forceful. And I said, oh, what is he calling for? I took it off, went, and he said, it's a friend of mine, and he said, look, my dad says we need to go up the street and get something for him. Would you come with me? Please, I need you. And he convinced me. I went with him. About 30 minutes to 45 minutes later, we're on our way back. The next street next to my house, huge crowd. Long story short, a blind man by the name of Lloyd that we know, they say he just hung himself.
Ooh, not on the same rope.
Same day. I went and looked at the window and looked at Lloyd. That image will forever be in my mind. Eyes popped wide open. And he stood on a chair, put a rope around his neck, kicked the chair, killed himself. And I heard God said to me that day, is that what you want to do? That's why I'm still here. What would you say to people, man? Because believe it, there are people like me. They want to stand on a chair, the issues of life, and choke themselves to death.
That story is chilling, but your problems don't end because you end it. You simply pass those problems on to the people who have to stay here and deal with the decision.
Jesus, that's good.
And I had to think about that. I had to think about Caitlin. I had to think about Gwen. I had to think about Keion. I had to think about Danielle. The word is don't. It don't. It's easy to say that, but don't. What does it solve? Maybe it's over for you. If you think it's over for you, then you don't have an eternal mindset. Nothing will be solved when you make a temporal decision. We're eternal beings. So I say don't. And the reason why I say don't is because you have so much to live for. You have so many people who depend on you, and you don't think about the ripple effect. My wife always says this, and I agree with it, that suicide is such a selfish decision because it is the idea that the only problem I need to solve is the one I have, without the consideration of the problems you leave the people who depend on you being here. So you have to find something to stay for. You got to find something to fight for, and that ain't spiritual. Let's not give scriptures. You got to have something, whether it's a daughter or an idea or a vision. You got to be around long enough,
or your future,
That part. I was going to say. I always tell young women when I speak to the young ladies, this is easier said than done, but don't make decisions for now. Make decisions for your future. So I know it looks horrible and hard and sad and depressing right now, but you don't know what this moment is setting you up for. Yeah. You don't know that this is building you for then. You cannot see it. I know it sucks. I know you just don't want to be in this space. But I promise you, whatever is happening, it's a purpose for what's coming.
Wow. Suicide is murder. And if you didn't kill the person who hurt you, why would you kill the person they hurt?
Wow. Say that again.
Suicide is murder. You're killing somebody. You didn't kill the person who hurt you, but you're killing the person they hurt. If you let them survive, you owe yourself the same survival.
That's good.
I think we're going to end the podcast this way. We can't top that at all. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an honor having you both on my podcast today. You guys are incredible. And listen, keep following me. I'm telling you what, my job is to help you live a lifestyle of faith each and every day. I love you, and I'll see you next time.